Hello, and welcome to Cooking Lessons for Dad, where you learn to cook healthy, cook easy. My name is Breyer, and today I am making a delicious peach cobbler. This is delicious, it melts in your mouth, it's easy to make. We actually have two recipes. We have the peach cobbler recipe and then the cobbler crust recipe. We're going to do them both because you need them both. So we'll start with the peach cobbler filling. The ingredients in this recipe are frozen or fresh peaches, sliced or diced, apple juice concentrate, honey, cornstarch, water, almond extract, cooking spray, and that's it. The first thing that we're going to do is spray a 9 by 13 or 10 by 14 baking dish with cooking spray, and you can cut this recipe in half and make a smaller, like an 8 by 8 or 9 by 9. But I made a small one once and then I was like, why didn't I just make a big one? Because it's good leftover too. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this. Next, in a large saucepan, I'm going to stir together the peaches. So I have 8 cups or 2 quarts. You can use frozen, fresh, sliced, or diced. And I have frozen sliced. Next, I have a 12-ounce can of apple juice concentrate and a half a cup of honey. Okay, I'm going to bring the mixture to a boil. Turn it on high. Okay, stir the ingredients. The honey is very sticky. We'll stir it again as it heats up. The honey turned hard on the frozen peaches, but it'll soften up as it heats up. While we're waiting for it to come to a boil, we're going to mix our cornstarch and water. We have 1 cup of water and a half a cup of cornstarch. Okay, so just stir this until the cornstarch is dissolved. And we'll set this aside for later. And occasionally we're going to stir our peach mixture while we're waiting for it to come to a boil. Okay, so our peach sauce has come to a boil, and I'm going to gradually stir in our cornstarch mixture, give it an extra stir, and just pour in a little at a time. And my honey did melt. You're going to pour as much of the cornstarch mixture in to make the filling as thick like a pie crust. You can see how fast it's getting thick. I'm just going to pour it all in, make it real thick. So as soon as it's as thick as you would like it, take it off the heat. So this is pretty thick. I'm going to turn off the heat, and also it's going to be in the oven, so it's going to heat up a little more in there. Now we want to add 1 teaspoon of almond extract. This gives it a really good flavor. So stir this in really well. Okay, next we're going to pour this into our baking dish, but I'm going to let it cool a little bit while I get out the ingredients for the cobbler crust. So I've got my setup for the cobbler crust, but I'm going to go ahead and pour my peach filling into the baking dish. You want to shake it to all the edges. Set it aside. So we're ready to make our cobbler crust. This is also a basic pastry dough. The ingredients in this recipe are warm water, yeast, coconut milk, kosher salt, sugar, whole wheat pastry flour, and unbleached white flour. The first thing that we're going to do is add our yeast to our warm water. I have a 1/4 cup of warm water and 2 teaspoons of yeast. So we're just going to sprinkle it in, stir it a bit, and we're going to wait 1 to 2 minutes. It should be creamy. It should be smooth and silky when it's ready. So we'll come back in 1 or 2 minutes. So our yeast is dissolved and it is smooth and silky, you can see. So we're going to add our coconut milk and our dissolved yeast in a mixing bowl. I have a half a cup of coconut milk, and I'm using the full fat coconut milk. Just mix this together. Next, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Then I have a 1/4 cup of sugar. Just going to stir this in. Now I have whole wheat pastry flour, 2/3 cup plus 2 tablespoons. Mix this in, and yes, you do need the extra 2 tablespoons, so it will come out just right. We'll get this completely mixed, and we'll mix in our white flour. So next we're going to add our unbleached white flour, and you need to make sure it's unbleached. You don't want to put bleached flour in a recipe with yeast because it'll kill the yeast, and then the yeast doesn't work. You could mix this in electric mixer with a dough hook if you would like. So now we're going to need a little extra flour. We're going to want to make this into a dough ball. So add more flour as needed. You want it thick enough to handle. So it's thicker, we're going to go ahead and put it on a floured surface. So I'm going to add some flour here. Put my dough out there. So you're going to have to get your hands dirty now. We're going to knead it into a ball. So add more flour as needed. We need it for 1 to 2 minutes. I need more flour. It is a really soft dough. This would probably be a little easier in a mixer with a dough hook, but this does work just fine. You want to keep kneading the dough until it's smooth. So I've been kneading it a while. It's nice and smooth now, and it's not sticky anymore. We don't want it sticky because we're going to roll it out with a rolling pin. So go ahead and make it into a ball. I always like squeeze together the bottom, keep turning it and pinching it so it doesn't have any seams. We're going to put some flour down, and we're going to roll it into a rectangle. So roll it into a rectangle. My mat is moving too much, so I'm just going to do this on the counter. You can push it down first, make sure there's flour everywhere. We're going to roll it in a rectangle shape. So you're going to go back and forth more than sideways because we want it to be a rectangle. This is going to fit a 9 by 13 pan or 10 by 14 rectangle pan. So we rolled out our cobbler crust, and we're going to put it over our fruit. One easy way to do that is just take your rolling pin, put a little flour on it, roll it on your rolling pin, and then unroll it on your cobbler. And we're going to adjust it to fit. Could have done better on the sizing, but I'm just going to tuck in the corners. One side's going to have a little bit more pie crust, but it's going to taste really good. So we got a little hole right there. It's okay because we're going to actually poke some holes in the pie crust, and this is just to let the steam out when it's cooking. Now we're going to cover our pie crust. You can use plastic wrap or a clean, damp kitchen towel, and that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to set this in a warm area, and I'm going to allow it to double in size. The crust is going to get bigger. That takes about 45 to 60 minutes depending on how warm your room is. So we'll be back in a bit. Okay, our cobbler crust is more than doubled in size. I had it on the oven with a cover. It didn't seem like it was raising much. I took it off, and then I started preheating the oven, and when I preheated the oven, it went crazy. So we're going to have a nice fluffy crust for our cobbler. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the oven, 350 degrees. I've been preheating it, and 30 minutes or until it's golden brown. I'll go put it in the oven next. Okay, we'll check on it in 30 minutes. Okay, the timer went off. It's been 30 minutes. Let's check it. nice and golden. Check that out. I'm gonna set it down to cool and we'll go try it. Okay, our peach cobbler has been cooling for quite a while and I'm ready to try it. Got a nice fluffy crust. I'm taking the most messy piece first. Still pretty hot. And you could top it with ice cream, whipped cream, or just like this. I'm going to try it just like this. Now I remember why everybody said it just melts in your mouth. It has amazing flavor. It's smooth, creamy. You're going to love it. If you want to put it in the refrigerator and reheat it later, reheat it at 300 degrees for about 30 minutes. Okay, try it. I'm going to try it with some whipped cream. I can imagine with ice cream too. This is so good. It's amazing. So delicious.